Today, there are 18,000 local law enforcement agencies across the U.S., and out of those, 47% have body-worn camera programs, according to a recent study by the Bureau of Justice Assistance. Looking ahead, this number is only set to increase as body camera technology continues to be more intuitive and easier to implement. One business leading this push is Axon, which was founded in 1991 and is the main supplier of tasers and body-worn cameras to law enforcement. The company recently unveiled a new line called the Axon Body 3.
It's now real-time connected, and we can do things like sending an officer's location, sending real-time alerts to a dispatcher if something happens, like a gunshot or a taser is activated, and we can live stream video at any moment. So if the critical event is happening, the video is useful now as a audio-video real-time communication, in addition to being able to save the video, to be able to use it after the fact. Whereas previously, body cameras would record, and then you would download them at the end of the shift and use the video the next day and thereafter. We can now begin to use this video data in real time.
That's Rick Smith, the CEO and founder of Axon. He says that in addition to live streaming the scene, body cameras are now equipped with multiple sensors that automatically turn the camera on and off.
If there's the sound of a gunshot, the camera will detect that. It will turn on automatically. It'll let the user know that it's turned on, and it will also send an alert up over the wireless connection so that dispatchers, commanders, and others could know that a gunshot was detected. So that now adds on to some of our other sensors, things like we have a sensor on the holster where if the gun comes out, it will turn the camera on. If a taser is activated, it will turn the camera on. If you turn on the light bars in the car, it can turn the camera on. So we put on a host of things that will automatically turn the camera on. But there is still the opportunity for the police officers to turn them off because there's pretty basic things like if they're going into a locker room where people might be changing or into a bathroom, they need to be able to turn the cameras off and not be recording those moments.
This can also apply to a police officer who's interviewing a confidential source or a victim of domestic violence that may not want to be filmed. However, despite these privacy challenges, the automation feature is crucial in capturing footage when an officer may not have time to manually turn on their camera. It's these exact scenarios where the video evidence is crucial to unraveling what exactly happened after the fact.
Once officers have begun wearing these cameras, very quickly, they get to a point where they will refuse to go on patrol without it. Because if you realize police officers are in very controversial situations every day. And what if someone makes an allegation against you of something awful that they said you did? If you end up in the world without a body camera, it could be a he said, she said situation. So these officers realize once they have the camera, it really does protect them where they can say, hey, as long as I'm doing the right thing, I'm going to be able to defend myself and not have to take a risk that somebody could come up with a false allegation against me that could ruin my career.
Body cameras are put in place to protect both sides, the police and the public, by providing clear footage of the situation, rather than relying on potentially biased first-hand recollections. This type of technology is increasingly important in an era where tension between the public and police is still high. But is this transparency actually leading to fewer violent confrontations? To study this in depth on a smaller scale, the Urban Institute, a nonprofit, nonpartisan social and economic research group, conducted a wide-range evaluation of the Milwaukee Police Department's body camera program. The randomized controlled trial started in 2016 and looked at more than 500 officers across the MPD. The results showed that body cameras did not have an effect on use of force instances, but did seemingly lead to a drop in the number of citizen complaints against officers.
We did find a large 50% reduction in the amount of body-worn camera-equipped officers who had received at least one citizen complaint. So this is a pretty large reduction and it's promising, but it's worth emphasizing that it's not clear if these complaints were reduced because body-worn cameras had a civilizing effect during the police-community interaction or because community members were more reluctant to lodge a complaint against an officer when there's footage of the interactions.
That's Daniel Lawrence, a senior research associate at the Urban Institute. Despite the inconclusive nature of the results, Lawrence says that upon closer examination, The use of body cameras did lead to more positive interactions with people.
There was an 8% decrease in the amount of subject stops that body-worn camera-equipped officers performed, while also a 23% increase in parks and walks. And these results really suggest that after receiving body cameras, officers may be more hesitant to engage in activities that could result in negative interactions with the public, which are, for example, the subject stops, which can be very volatile for both the citizen and the police officer. But on the other hand, they're also potentially replacing these activities that are more positive and community-oriented, such as park and walks, where they get out of their cars and interact with the community in a positive fashion.
While statistics like these sound promising for improved police-community interactions, the Urban Institute's next question was whether the addition of body cameras changed opinions about the police amongst minorities. To answer this, the organization conducted a series of community surveys around Milwaukee over the next 3 years.
We found overall the vast majority of community members felt that the cameras would improve the relationships between police officers and community members. But the big standout of that with the community is that African American community members had much lower agreement with those types of statements. They felt that officers typically didn't treat them with dignity and respect. The overall sample, 60% felt that way, but for African Americans, it was down near 35%.
Improving the relationship between the public and police is not an easy fix by any means, but continued visibility and transparency are key factors. More so, using law enforcement technology correctly, whether it's tasers or body cameras, is vital to maintaining public support. Lauren says right now the amount of video footage collected can sometimes be overwhelming to a point where it becomes inefficient.
One of the biggest challenges is how local DA offices have access and can review this footage. Because for the police officers, they take the video footage from their body-worn camera, they use a smartphone app they can tag it, they can add the event numbers to better manage the footage internally within the police department. But the entire footage gets sent to the DA's office if it's needed for evidence. And for the DA's side, they have to then view that footage in quite detail just to make sure that they're capturing everything that is useful to them. And that can be incredibly time-consuming, especially for attorneys who are trying to identify what types of crimes occur in a specific incident.
Rick Smith of Axon says he hopes to meet some of these footage concerns with this year's rollout of the Axon Body 3 camera and new software, which uses artificial intelligence to cut down on the manpower needed to analyze these lengthy videos.
We have a couple big initiatives. One is we've created what we call Axon Records, which is our records management system. So if you think about police spend majority of their time actually not doing police work, but writing police reports, which is not a high value add proposition. It's basically overhead, and it consumes over half of the nation's spend on law enforcement because half of the labor is going into reports instead of policing. So we're spending a lot of time integrating these videos into police reports and building tools to begin to extract the information out of the video so that the officers don't have to sit and type it up on a keyboard on a laptop somewhere. And we believe that that's going to be a huge game changer. So we're already live with our records management software. And this year we'll be rolling out a number of new tools to help officers make reports faster by automating extracting information from the videos.
These artificial intelligence tools are poised to be the next big advancement in law enforcement technology and can be used in a variety of different capacities. Smith hopes to eventually utilize artificial intelligence in the dashboard camera of every officer's patrol car.
We have a new in-car video system that will launch the end of this year called Axon Fleet 3. And this is our first in-car system that has AI processing to be able to do license plate reads right from the in-car camera. So today, officers, basically they're driving around and they're looking up license plates to run vehicle checks. Many times they're actually typing with one hand while they're driving.
While innovative, this new scanning technology has raised some serious concerns around personal privacy. Axon has partly addressed this issue by pledging not to incorporate facial recognition software in its systems sold to law enforcement. At the end of the day, in whatever industry you're in, it's important to keep in mind that new adaptations in technology can be a slippery slope, but if used responsibly, have the power to improve efficiency, transparency, and allow more time for the things we can't fix through tech. To find out more about body cameras, the Urban Institute and Axon, as well as our guests Daniel Lawrence and Rick Smith, visit viewpointsradio.org. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Viewpoints Radio, and subscribe and listen to our show anytime wherever you listen to podcasts. Our studio producer is Jason Dickey. This segment is written and produced by Amira Zaveri. I'm Gary Price.
About 1 million Americans have Parkinson's disease, and many are treated with levodopa-carbidopa therapy, but about half of them will experience off episodes when Parkinson's disease symptoms return between doses of these medications. The FDA has approved Norianz, istradevolin, a prescription medicine used with levodopa and carbidopa to treat adults with Parkinson's disease experiencing off episodes. Dr. Robert Hauser of the University of South Florida says,
During off episodes, symptoms including difficulty walking return, which can impact patients. Norianz is the first and only treatment of its kind that works differently. In clinical trials, Norianz significantly decreased the amount of off time that patients experienced and increased the amount of time patients had good symptom control between doses.
Norianz may cause serious side effects including uncontrolled sudden movements, dyskinesia, hallucinations, and other symptoms of psychosis, as well as compulsive behaviors and an inability to control them. The more common side effects of Norianz include uncontrolled movements, dyskinesia, dizziness, constipation, nausea, hallucinations, and problems sleeping, insomnia. If you or your family notice that you are developing any new or unusual symptoms or behaviors, talk to your healthcare provider. These are not all the possible side effects of Norianz. Call your doctor for medical advice about side effects. You may report side effects to FDA at 1-800-FDA-1088. Before you take Norianz, tell your healthcare provider about all your medical conditions, including if you have a history of dyskinesia, have reduced liver function, and smoke cigarettes or use other tobacco products. Tell your healthcare provider about all the medicines you take, including prescription and over-the-counter medicines, vitamins, and herbal supplements. Norianz may affect the way other medicines work, and other medicines may affect how Norianz works. To get more information about Norianz, consumers can call 1-800-NOURIANZ or go to www.norianz.com. Brought to you by Kiowa Kirin.
And that's Viewpoints for this week. Viewpoints is a production of MediaTrax Communications. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to learn more about upcoming shows. And find a library of past programs on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. Plus, you'll always find previous segments and more information about our guests at viewpointsradio.org. Join us again next week for another edition of Viewpoints.
Coming up on Viewpoints.
Dollar Shave Club, Warby Parker, Casper, Third Love Bras, they came out of nowhere and outmaneuvered much bigger rivals by selling these products online.
How the direct-to-consumer model continues to shake up retail giants. Then,
we need to expand our definition of what genius is and who can be a genius.
Uncovering the forgotten female geniuses of the past. I'm Marty Peterson.
And I'm Gary Price. These stories in depth on your public affairs magazine, Viewpoints.